Edmund Ohiniasa. I'm an ex-chief superintendent of the Ghana Police Service.
Okay. Can you first tell us who you were in June 1982?
Oh, I was in the CID headquarters, annex, and due to the killing of and abduction of 3 High Court judges and a retired major, the headquarters nominated me to assist Chief Superintendent, then Chief Superintendent J.J. Yidana, to help the technical team to investigate the murders. We were not members of the SIB. We were only attached to them so that we could help unravel this heinous offense.
What was your role in the police at the time?
I was in charge of narcotics and currency trafficking at the national level.
Okay. And how were you recruited to join the police investigative team that were working on the abduction and the killing of the judges in 1982?
Well, it was all coming from the CID headquarters. The Commissioner of Police CID.
Sorry, can you start again? The wind is...
The Commissioner of Police CID appointed us to serve or to service the SIB. That's the Special Investigation Board.
Okay. Can you briefly run us through what the team discovered when it comes to those who abducted and killing the judges and those who were behind it?
This is a massive question. As for the idea of who killed the judges, it's very simple. We were to investigate to find out who did actually kill the judges, and also to find out who orchestrated or who instructed these young soldiers. Well, I would say that they were loyal to the system and they knew that they were doing a national exercise. So, in short, the whole idea of why distinguished judges like this should be killed, and a general manager of GIHOC, they should be murdered in cold blood. Why has never been tackled. It has never been done with. And Ghanaians are still possibly waiting for answers. Because there is the why to this offense or this criminal thing. And there is the who did it aspect too. But then, in short, the whole thing dwelt upon who killed the judges. And unfortunately, by the original Azukra report, not all the people recommended for prosecution were prosecuted.
Okay, sorry. All right, go again.
Okay. By all purposes and intent, we just discovered who participated in the actual killing of the judges. But who orchestrated it and what was the reason behind the killing of these famous people, I'll put it that way, has been the speculation of many theories here and there. I cannot differ from the report that was finally published because Azukrab was mandated to examine go into the killing and abduction of the judges. He did his job diligently, and I would say that I agree with Azukrab and his recommendations.
Okay. Because the CIB concluded that, having regard to the whole evidence, it is clear that the plot to kidnap and kill the 4 specified persons was masterminded by Captain Tsikata. How did they come to this conclusion?
Well, that is what I was earlier on trying to explain. You see, according to the original report, Azukrab recommended that even Kojo Tsikata should be prosecuted. But the then Attorney General, G.A. Akins, he sat down. It's the normal practice that before they issue a white paper on it, the lawyers for the government or for the state, they will go through it, and maybe for state security or I don't know for what reasons, they decided not to prosecute Kojo Tsikata. I have no vendetta against him, but this is what really was in the original report. I doubt whether even copies are available for all and sundry to look at it. But it's a pathetic situation, and the people of Ghana have a right to know the truth. Possibly, soldiers who killed the judges can also, who have also been executed, they could possibly be martyrs as well because they were acting on people's instructions. But then the way the military structure is designed, you got to take instructions from above. Whilst I was in exile in Lome, I chanced into, well, he came to look for me. Amedeka came to my premises. He had no ill feelings against me, but he had all the regrets that the people who orchestrated this thing and promised to protect them didn't do so at the last moment. Anyway, that is left to posterity to judge. I am not reviewing the judges' killing and abduction. No, I'm not in a position to make a review of it. But as a citizen, I also have an opinion. And having participated in the nitty-gritty of the investigation, I believe that justice may not have been seen to be done.
Okay. And then, stated accordingly, it is recommended that Captain Tsikata should have been arrested immediately and placed in custody to await trial. Why do they think he was not tried?
As I'm saying, the powers that be at the time, Azukra called on Captain Tsikata to come and give evidence. And you had a whole array of distinguished lawyers coming to defend him. He wouldn't even say a word. And what they were trying to do at the commission, who said this, who said that? But that is private. That is the investigators' this thing. And all this, they want to bring it into the public domain. It's a bit sensitive. I do not want to pry more into that aspect, because the decision makers, they're way beyond me. And I had no way of telling any decision maker that, oh, why didn't you prosecute citizen A or B? But it is, there is something they call let bygones be bygones. But this is a situation where you can't just brush over it. But unfortunately, I don't know whether the transitional provisions give them the immunity, so we may never know the truth about the judge's murder. Because you can't go and arrest somebody who was excluded from prosecution and say that now come and face justice. Maybe it will be a double jeopardy kind of thing, which the rule of law speaks against. The thing is that if we are in a democracy, by Montesquieu's definition, we have the three organs of state: the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. At the time these things were going on, democracy had broken down. So the executive, which was a ruling PNDC or whatever, it took decisions regardless of human rights. Because if a judge can be just abducted from his house and then just driven into a military range and then subjected to whatever torture and killed and burnt, I think this leaves an indelible mark in our history. It's good they have made statues or bats of them in front of the Supreme Court in the cause of justice. But that is not enough. See, they shouldn't have been executed. Because at the time when they established or the coup came into place, the aim of the ruling government was to discredit the judiciary. So they made claims that these judges, they were corrupt. But one thing common is that they all reviewed AFRC convictions. And everybody knows that these convictions were not safe. People were tortured, and how can you try our generals and top brass within minutes and then say they are guilty, sentenced to death? This happens only in, I would say, backward systems. And Ghana, if we are to be proud of our heritage, now we have embarked on proper rule of law, and the whole world, or most part of the world, they are very happy about our turnaround. You see, because democracy is not as easy as you pronounce it. It entails a lot. It entails discipline. It entails the rule of law being observed in every sphere of human activity. But we are yet to get there, but we are not far from there. I think that's all I can say about the last question.
Okay. Did your team gather enough evidence for the prosecution of the people named in the report, especially those who were not put before the public tribunal?
You see, I must have told one of your editors that if they want to know the truth of the matter, the access to Azukrap's original report should be done. You should find access to that report, because it was a rigid examination, and he came out with the facts after a long standing investigation, which I'm proud of having been part of it.
Okay. In page 6 of the Attorney General Aikins' report on why he didn't prosecute Captain Tsikata, he said the detailed evidence before him did not suggest Captain Tsikata was the mastermind. Which of the interpretation do you think represent the work your team did?
The point is, the Attorney General, by the rules of engagement, they have to present the report. He has his own legal opinion. These are legal opinions, but they are not facts. So if the Attorney General didn't find Captain Kojo Tsikata retired culpable, it is according to the law as he thought it should be. But according to Azukrap, he felt Captain Tsikata was culpable. It is strange for you to subject me to these questions, because I have never intended to comment on these matters, because I'm a private man now. But then the democracy that is sweeping across Ghana makes me feel that it's an obligation on my part to also say what I really knew, which may not have come to light. You see, the way the system goes is that if anybody is suspected of having committed an offense against the state or whatever, the courts are there to find him guilty or not. But if you don't put him before the court, the question of finding him guilty or not doesn't come in. What is happening is, if they have put him before court, or a court of competent jurisdiction, and he had been freed, later on there will be a post-mortem on why maybe he was not convicted. People could cry foul that there's been a travesty of justice. You see, because I cannot find any justification whatsoever for the killing of innocent judges of the High Court because somebody felt they had reviewed AFRC decisions. You see, that's another kettle of fish. How can you sentence people to 99 years? So it's unreasonable. You see? And all the killing of our generals and our top brass. Did that solve the problem of Ghana? No. See, but I am not a revolutionarist. I am a simple citizen of the country. I believe that when people come to know the real information behind this killing of the judges, they will draw their own conclusions. You see, because they say information is power, but when the people, they are denied the information that they need to make it possible for them to make true judgment of situations like this, then I believe there is a problem. See, so I won't say much. I think I've said enough.
Okay, you've already said that, but I mean, the question is, was there enough evidence to put Captain Tsikata before courts?
No, you see, I am not a super magistrate or a super judge. You see, that is why they have got this idea of separation of powers. It is the judges, the judiciary, who decide what should be done to somebody who is brought before them. But in case of the judges, those who killed them, they were tried before a tribunal, which most people would describe as a kangaroo court. Ajekum, he was a competent lawyer, but it depends upon the kind of information they bring before you. On that strength of that information, you will pass your judgment. But normally, in the normal judicial system, an abominable act like killing of the judges, it should be tried by a jury. But in this case, it was tried by only one person. It was a summary trial. And his judgment was carried through. And subsequently, these people were shot, supposedly. See, I have a strong feeling that there has been some injustice somewhere. But then, I'm not in a position to point out who did it or how it was done. That lies outside our remit. You see?
Okay. It's a blink.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So according to NRC, by the time the members of the Special Investigative Board completed their work, the police investigation team has been disseminated by various acts of intimidation leading to the flight and or the arrest and imprisonment of a number of officers. Sergeant Selby escaped arrest and left the country. So did DSP Ohine Ansa. What really happened to you?
Oh, well, it's a bit, I would like to cut it short. You see, it was the day of our independence, celebration of our day of our independence. Then Mr. Idana had some friend called Afuase Wabek, who was a journalist. I was driving on St. Teresa's Road in North Carnation. When she held my car, I stopped. And she told me, "Oh, they have arrested your friend." And I said, who arrested you? She said, "The soldiers." I asked her, "Where is she?" He said, "At Special Branch." So I drove straight to the Special Branch headquarters. And to my surprise, they said, "No, they won't allow me to see him." They confirmed that he was there, but they won't let me see him. Okay. So I realized, it dawned on me, because previously they had seized Idana's passport. They also got hold of my passport, all under the pretext they were going to send you abroad and other things. But normally when you're going abroad, they don't seize your passport. So when I told Idana about my case, and he sat in his chair there, and tears were running down his cheeks, he realized that our lives are now in real danger. Because there was one Special Branch officer, Odro, who in anticipation that our lives will be in danger, he called Idana privately, and they went to the Dutch embassy to get visas. Okay, so the Dutch embassy too must have informed the government. So as for Dro, he was arrested immediately. And the last time we heard of him, he was in Winneba prison. Oh, there was so much intimidation, you see. But at that time, I believe I had some foolish courage. I used to do things and feel that the system cannot punish me until it was decided by the government that they are trying to prune down the number, trying to sack all the bad police officers. They started with foreign affairs, and the next was police. I was the fourth on the list. So around that time, I realized I had no alternative but to flee the country. This is our history.
How did you do that?
Oh, as for that one, I cannot implicate anybody. The present president, his sister took me in her car. Then we went to a place near the Volta region. They call it Wudome. That's where I cross into Togo, and then I continue my journey from there. It's not been easy, but then I thank God that I'm alive and kicking.
Well, you are in the UK now, London. You said you went to Togo. How did you get to London?
Yeah, I went to the United Nations, and then the UNDP at the time, they decided to give me a United Nations passport, a travel document. That's what I used to come here. And when I came here, I decided to regularize my stay by going to the appropriate places. Then I put in a request for I didn't want to become a British citizen. I'm still not. I'm a Ghanaian. I'm proud of my country and my heritage. So eventually they granted me multiple stay or whatever. Then later on I got my wife to join me. Then I got my children. Not all of them, they all came here. Now they are happily settled. And I've gone on retirement here too. So I have 2 retirements. One was, thank goodness, the Reconciliation Commission. I wrote an appeal to them. So they decided that they will reinstate me in the Ghana police. But then at that time, my age, so they promoted me. I was a superintendent. They promoted me to chief superintendent. And then that was to give me, well, a handsome pension, yeah.